Dear students, welcome to this session on methodology of teaching English. Today's lesson is teaching of prose. Here you can see a pictorial representation of the aims of teaching prose. Basically, a prose lesson is taught to develop the four language skills, namely listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Prose lesson would help a teacher to give new vocabulary to the students, and the students are able to understand the grammatical structures involved in the lesson, and they can understand various concepts discussed in the chapter, and the social background and other references should be made clear to them. So understanding a content and responding to the content is also a benefit of teaching a prose lesson. And as an end result, children are able to read a lesson loudly, giving proper pronunciation, stress, intonation, pauses, and so on. Moreover, they can start writing on their own, accurately and creatively. Plus, they are able to read the lesson silently with enhanced speed. So these are the aims or the objectives of teaching a prose lesson. So, how to teach a prose passage effectively? There are certain points to be kept in mind. Point number one, a model reading of the prose lesson should be given by the teacher. Then, the material should be varied and suitable to the age group of the learners. Then, word study. Selected and graded words, selected and graded vocabulary must be introduced. And grammatical structures also should be introduced according to the age level. So whatever item is new to them, those new language items, be it a word or a grammatic structure, it has to be repeated by the teacher for reinforcement. And then a page should not have more than 5 to 6 new words. Intensive teaching of a prose material can be done by giving an introduction. The teacher can generate curiosity among the learners by giving a very interesting introduction to the prose lesson. So this will help the students understand the socio-cultural and scientific backgrounds of a lesson. And teacher can use pictures and flashcards based on the prose lesson to make the class interesting. Then she can ask the students to read the lesson loudly and also ask them personally to do silent reading. So this can help a teacher to understand whether children are able to comprehend the lesson. And finally, exercises can be given to check whether they have understood. It can be oral exercise or written exercise. So let us move on to the procedure of teaching a prose lesson. The steps are given here. Preparation. The teacher can prepare and give an introduction to the students so as to generate interest in them. Then presentation of the lesson, silent reading by the students, asking comprehension questions, moving on to a detailed study of the lesson, followed by loud reading by the students in the classroom, then production, recapitulation, assessment and assignment. So this is how a prose lesson should be taught. Young teachers, pay attention. So your second on-the-job training will be in the schools. Those of you who wishes to be a teacher can do internship in either of the schools in Giridibam. So you will be given LP classes or UP classes, and a prose lesson or a poetry would be given to you. So you have to teach the students, and while doing that The theory that you learn in methodology of teaching English will be very helpful to you. And as young teachers, you should pay attention to the following key points. You have to pinpoint new words and teach the students. Identify new words and ask them to pinpoint them and teach those words specifically. Then when you read the textbook, your pronunciation should be accurate. You shouldn't go wrong. And you have to pick up those new words and explain the spelling, meaning, and so on. Yeah, of words and phrases. Then when you ask them to do silent reading, you should monitor them closely and make sure that they don't move their lips or they don't use fingers along the lines. So these are things which you should keep in mind. After teaching a lesson, you can check their level of acquisition by asking questions. For the students of the age group 4 to 10, that is between 4 years of age and 10 years of age, pronunciation must be corrected. If they go wrong while pronouncing a word, you have to teach them how to pronounce it correctly. Then you have to repeat doing it. Repeated drilling is very essential. And do a revision of the newly learned vocabulary and the newly learned grammatical structures. Only then it will remain in their mind. So while you teach a prose lesson, you can teach the following concepts of English language. There are different types of sentences. There are different parts of speech. There are different tenses. There is active voice and passive voice. Direct speech and indirect speech. So from the lesson you can teach all these like types of sentences like declarative or assertive sentences, interrogative sentences, imperative sentences and so on. Then parts of speech like noun, verb, adjective, pronoun, etc. Then different tenses, the conversion of a sentence from one tense to another, conversion of a sentence from active to passive voice, conversion from direct to indirect speech. All these are the possible exercises that a teacher can give. So on this slide you can find types of comprehension questions. Type 1, yes or no questions, either or questions or multiple choice questions. Type 2, quotes, giving them quotes and you can ask them who said to whom, or annotations. Type 3, information from the passage is given to elicit a response from the learner. Type 4, inferring, that is deriving information from the whole passage. Type 5, relating the passage in one's own knowledge and experience. So these are the various types of comprehension questions that a teacher can work out in a classroom.